to know, especially if you're interested in cybersecurity. Oh my gosh, we're actually live on YouTube. It's been a hot minute since I've done these lives. If you are not in my Discord, please join my Discord. I'm doing a lot of amazing things. Can you tell it's been a while since I've done these lives? First thing first, it is 11:32 in the morning, and Happy New Year for those who haven't hung out with me in the New Year time via Discord and now YouTube. Happy New Year. I'm going to be doing the following. What is networking? TryHackMe walkthrough. So that's the surprise for today. Updates and other things. So that's what we're going to do. So the first thing first, what is networking? I think this is a very important thing for folks to know, especially if you're interested in cybersecurity. Yeah, you might be able to bypass the programming and whatnot, but networking you cannot escape. What is networking? Begin learning the fundamentals of computer networking in this bite-sized and interactive module. Now, TryHackMe, I really do like them because they have a lot of free rooms for folks. I also like their videos too, so if you're stuck on a task, they have a little walkthrough, but we're gonna skip the video for today. And we're gonna go with the first task. So that is, what is networking? So if you haven't been familiar with these tasks, there's a lot of reading involved. And folks, if you're into cyber, you're gonna be reading a lot. You can't escape that. I will do a little bit of reading just to make it simple for folks who have never understood what a network is. Maybe they're a career transitioner, they're in a different field other than cyber. In a nutshell, pretty much networking is two or more devices that are connected together and they communicate to each other, just like how this write-up is saying. So network are simply things connected. So they said, for example, your friendship circle, you're all connected because of similar interests, hobbies, skills, and sorts. And networks can be found in all walks of life, such as meeting and greeting your neighbors. That's a network. Postal systems for sending letters and parcels. With computing, it's the same idea. Your phone is a very good example. I like that idea. And you have access to things like Google, ChatGPT, other things. And they communicate with each other, and there's rules that follow. Trying to see if there's anything else I need to bring up from here. But I also like this illustration too with Alice, Bob, and Jim. So they're sending emails to each other, I believe. And here's the first question. So what is the key term for devices that are connected together? It is a network. So I'm going to close that task, and then we're going to get to the next one, to what is the internet. So now that we've learned what a network is and how one is defined in computing, not just device connected, they're going to explore the internet. So it's one giant network that consists of many, many small networks within itself. That's a better way of saying that. I was going to say something else, but I think TryHackMe did a very good job just explaining what an internet is. Okay, so Alice made more friends, such as Zane and Toby, that she wants to introduce to Bob and Jim in our little cute network illustration here. But the problem is that Alice is the only person who speaks the same language as Zane and Toby. So Alice will have to be the messenger. Because Alice can speak both languages, they can communicate to one another through Alice, forming a new network. So we have two different networks. And the first iteration of the network, or excuse me, the first iteration of the internet was ARPANET project in the late 1960s, and then it was founded by the US Defense Department. And it wasn't until 1989 where Tim Berners-Lee created the World Wide Web. So, okay, so back to Alice's network of friends of computing devices. We can't English today. Let me read that again. Let's relate Alice's network of friends to computing devices. So the internet looks like a larger version of this sort of diagram. So we have three networks and we have the internet. It's just like Bob and Jim and Alice and Zane and Toby. I mean, as previously stated, the internet is made up of many small networks all joined together. So we have a public and private network, and devices will use a set of labels to identify themselves on a network, which we will come onto in the task below. I think I need some coffee. It's been so long. This is what happens when you wake up really early in the morning on a Saturday, doing these things for y'all. So, trying to think there's anything else I need to say about this with the internet, but this is a great representation. There are routers here, and there's other endpoints. It looks like a server there or database, and it looks like a phone, a printer, a computer there. So a lot of things can be connected on the network. So the answer to this is Tim Berners-Lee, because we stated that earlier from the reading. So let's copy that. I don't feel like typing that today, so Tim Berners-Lee. And for those who have never used TryHackMe, please, please, please use the hint. And it says it was created in the year 1989, so there you go. Going to close this now. So we have 2 more tasks after this. So identifying devices on a network. And we don't have to use the attack box. We can just use the view site. So I'm going to open that up because that might take a moment. Task 3, identifying devices on a network. To communicate and maintain order, devices must be both identifying and identifiable on a network. What use is it if you don't know whom you're talking to at the end of the day? Devices on a network are very similar to humans in the fact that we have 2 ways of being identified, our name, fingerprints. Now for computers, it's going to be different. Instead of needing fingerprints, we're going to have an IP address and media access control MAC address. And for those who are studying certifications, it's important to know this. Even if you're not studying for certification, if you want to, example, be a network engineer or even a pen tester or a field in cyber that is relevant with networking, you're going to learn about MAC addresses. Get used to seeing this. You're going to see this more than once. I can promise you that. And yeah, I like this explanation here for the MAC address because it's very simple. It's in layman's terms. So they're saying, think of it as being similar to a serial number. They really do break it down here. And I really like that for the IP addresses because whenever I do IP addresses, I usually have a chart that I make. Like if you're making subnets, smaller networks, above the scope of this TryHackMe room today, but pretty much this is an IPv4 IP address because there are, 8 bits per octet. So 8 times 4 is 32 IPv4. And each octet has a range between 0 to 255 or 255. So if you were to add that up, why is it 255? Because you have bits that start from 128 to 64, 32, 16, 8, 4, 2, 1. You add those up and you get 255. Same thing goes for octet 2 and octet 3 and octet 4. So that's IP addresses in a nutshell. And they also have different types of IP addresses. So there's private and public. Trying to see if there's anything else I need to address with IP addresses. Yeah, so they're the backbone of networking and force main devices to communicate in the same language. They can be both on a private and public network. So what's the difference between the two? Public address is used to identify the device on the internet, and then private is the opposite, right? It's used to identify a device amongst other devices. This one here, desktop KJE57FD, this is private network IP address. And then CN Natick PC, this is a public. Yeah, this one's also private too. I was gonna say they're both one's public and one's private. Okay. But the point is they both communicate to each other because they're on the same network and they're in the same range, 192.168.1.77. And this one's 192.168.1.74. So with public IP addresses, it's given right here, for example. It's provided by your internet service provider or ISP at a monthly fee, your bill. We're in 2024 now. I can imagine in a few years it's going to get even harder and harder and harder. Like maybe we'll go to IPv6. I don't know. It's just a guess, but it is getting harder to use a public address that's not already been used. Especially since we have so many devices now. It's not just laptops, not just desktops, it's not just cell phones. We got tablets, smartwatches, smart refrigerators, so many different things that have an IP address. I mentioned earlier IPv6, so it's a new iteration of the Internet Protocol addressing scheme to help tackle this issue. Although it's seemingly more daunting, it boasts a few benefits, so supports up to 2 to 128 power of IP address, so 340 trillion plus, resolving the issues faced with IPv4, and more efficient due to new methodologies. So as you can see here in this illustration, IPv6, it's very long as opposed to IPv4. So from before, we mentioned MAC addresses. TryHackMe said, hey, think of it as a serial number. Well, here's why, because you have different parts that are like a serial number. And remember, it's media access control. So it's 12-character hexadecimal number, base 16 numbering system used in computing to represent numbers, split into twos, and separated by a colon. So these colons are considered separators. And the first 6 characters represent the company that made the network interface, and the last 6 is a unique number. The parts that are red, the vendor who built the network interface, in this instance it's Intel, and then green is unique address of the network interface. Here are some cons. I like to say this in cybersecurity, not everything can be 100% secure, and here are some of the reasons why. One, you can spoof this, provide a fake MAC address. And this is a security concern because it's a broken security protocol pretty much, because it's implemented poorly. When this occurs, it says it's often breaks poorly implemented security designs that assume that devices talking on a network are trustworthy. Well, this is why we also say too in cybersecurity, verify before you trust. Do not just trust what you're connected to. And it gives a scenario to really illustrate this even further because it can be confusing if you've never seen or interacted with MAC addresses for the first time. So talks about a firewall configured to allow any communication going to and from the MAC address of the admin. So if a device were to pretend or spoof this MAC address, the firewall would now think that is receiving communication from the administrator when it isn't. So, when you go to Starbucks or Panera Bread or any place that offers free Wi-Fi or public Wi-Fi, would not recommend connecting to that because folks can do funny things on there, such as spoofing MAC addresses and whatnot. We also have a practical, that's why we have this going on with Bob and Alice and TryHackMe, and a trash can too, which is very interesting. So this one simulates a hotel Wi-Fi network where you have to pay for the service. So this is not free, you have to pay for this. And you'll note that the router is not allowing Bob's packets blue to the TryHackMe website, is placing them in the bin. But Alice's packets green are going through fine because she has paid for Wi-Fi. Okay, so Bob did not pay for the Wi-Fi. That's why it's not going to work. So if I scroll down even more, I see what they mean now. So try changing Bob's MAC address to the same as Alice's to see what happens. Before we do that, let's answer some questions. And this one's Internet Protocol, IP. This is from the reading. What is each section of an IP address called? I mentioned this earlier, it's an octet. How many sections and digits does an IPv4 address have? I'm just saying IPv4, 4 digits. Now, if you didn't know what it meant, the hint says this section is also known as an octet. So you scrolled all the way up with that illustration with, I think it was like 192, 168, 1.1, for example. You saw the octets, it had 4 digits. So that's where I got the answer. And what does the term MAC stand for? Media Access Control. Perfect. So deploy the interactive lab using the view site. We already did that. And spoof your MAC address to access the site. What is the flag? Okay, so do not try this at home, folks. It's only for educational purposes. So we're going to spoof Alice's MAC address. And the way to do this, you see this MAC address we have right now? We're going to delete that. And we are going to copy Alice's We're going to pretend that we're Alice so we can access the TryHackMe site. Okay, we did that, and it says TryHackMe got on TryHackMe. So that is the flag. Awesome. Okay, so let's go to the next task. And before we get to the questions, we should, look this first, press view site. So we are on task 4, ping ICMP. And ping is one of the most fundamental network tools available to us. And ping uses ICMP, Internet Control Message Protocol packets to determine the performance of a connection between devices. So if the connection exists or is reliable, and for troubleshooting purposes, you will use ping a lot. But there are cons to this, because if someone's trying to ping so much, they might try to go into the network and try to compromise that. So there are security protocols or policies that you can use to stop pings from happening. But for this sake, we're using it to troubleshoot. And the syntax to do simple ping is ping IP address or website URL, just like this illustration here, ping 192.168.1.254. And you can replace this by using google.com. So if you ping google.com, you will also see bytes here with timestamps, which tells how long it took to ping the site. And it gives a total of the times listed from each packet being sent over the network. That's what a ping does. At the end, we're going to do the same thing to ping 8.8.8.8. And I have that ready right here. So when we're done with the questions, we will ping right here for IP address, and then we'll press send ping request. So what protocol does, I'll say the answer by accident, but what protocol does ping use? It's ICMP. Okay, what is the syntax to ping 10.10.10.10? It is literally ping 10.10.10.10. And then what flag do you get when you ping 8.8.8.8? Well, we're going to do that right now. So instead of typing ping, you would normally type ping on the terminal, but because we're using TryHackMe's lovely site, we're going to just do 8.8.8.8. It shows right here. Now, if you're wondering what that C is, I think this was count. I don't memorize Linux commands on the top of my head. So yeah, and it has 4 too, so I think it's going to count 4 times. Yeah, it's going to count 4 times. Okay, cool. I did not memorize that, honestly. Hello, everybody. Hi. So the flag that we got is TryHackMe. I pinged the server. So we have that. And then task 5, continue learning intro to LAN. And LAN is local area network. So we will join that next time. And we also completed the room, so congratulations. And I do recommend sharing this example to Twitter or Facebook or LinkedIn. Definitely LinkedIn out of the 3, because employers are there, lots of cyber folks are there. So that's really fun. So that was it for the TryHackMe walkthrough, and that was a surprise one. I kept telling folks on YouTube, giving hints from time to time that I was going to do networking. Well, I didn't want to reinvent the wheel, so I was like, you know what, let's just do an old-fashioned TryHackMe walkthrough. And I've never done walkthroughs on this channel for some reason that was TryHackMe related, so we did that. Yay! New things for 2024. Finally did TryHackMe walkthrough. I kept talking about TryHackMe walkthroughs with Admin of Cyber. Don't know if anyone did Admin of Cyber. That was a very, very fun one this year. There were different topics. There was data science, which I did not expect at all, but I knew it was going to happen. I saw it happen. Okay, so life updates. I'm no longer an AWS ambassador anymore. I loved the program, loved what AWS did. I mean, they did help me out with getting my profile like for cloud done, also helping me with AWS CCP or the certified cloud practitioner with resources wise. It was really good just sharing my journey with AWS, but now I'm moving on to Azure. That has been the new thing. So Azure is where it's at for me, and it's because I've been involved with projects that are Azure based. So that's why I'm doing more and more Azure things. It makes more sense. Like I'm even doing AppSec with cloud security that involves Azure. I tried to do something that involved AWS, and they're just like, nope, going straight to Azure. So I was like, okay. But there's a lot of CTFs coming up, a lot of different things to plan for. I'm also getting back into blogging again, so I'm trying to make more blog posts. And for those who don't know, I'm also on Pinterest. Again, we're going to stay there this time. So you will see me there. There is a mechanism to it, but Pinterest, I'm also there for those who are not really social media folks. We have something for everybody. And we also have, I don't know why I'm saying we, I also have a Discord. So if you don't have access to the Discord, just let me know. It's also in the description with my tap link. Please check it out. We're doing a lot of fun activities coming up this month, actually. All right, so we are at 12 o'clock and we're going to call it a day. But I hope that everyone has a wonderful day. And also, one more thing, 2024 is our year. So those who are still on the call, just wanted to let you know it's your year. And also one last thing, actually. Job seekers who are trying to get into cybersecurity, I know the job market is not the best right now, but just keep pushing. If you need to take a break, take a break. Join the Discord community. We have a wonderful support system there. And just keep going. Do not give up. I know it's so hard. I think it's harder than what I originally first joined cyber. I know it's a difference, but don't give up. You got this. I hope that you have a wonderful day and talk to you soon. Ciao for now. Bye, everybody.